everybody, to RadPod and Chill. My name is Heidi Kuda. I'm with Jim Stewartson and High Fidelity, and this is a very special RadPod and Chill for us because we just dropped a few minutes ago our 100th episode dedicated to the cultural forces of Ukraine. When Hi-Fi and I were in Washington, D.C. at TEDx Mid-Atlantic, we met some badass Ukrainian soldiers who also happen to be artists, musicians, poets, opera singers, and we brought you their story of how they are healing souls on the front line in mobile units that go visit soldiers throughout Ukraine. So if you caught it, you'll know how amazing their work is. Gentlemen?
I can't say enough good things about men who are willing to travel a battlefield to provide support to their fellow soldiers who are fighting for their freedom on the battlefields of Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, not to be picky, but not just men, right? Lots of people out there supporting, including in the cultural forces of Ukraine. It was one of my favorite interviews. Kolya, there's something about that guy that is he's got sort of star, and he's just very, very intelligent. And extremely sort of charismatic, really an amazing choice for a leader for what he's doing. And what he's doing, let's be clear, is, I mean, it's psychological warfare, but positive, right? It is trying to heal people from the trauma of war, from a just constant grinding negative atmosphere that involves death, that involves the worst atrocities you can think about, and it's just true. A night of sitting around singing music, what he put it in this amazing way, and we'll have a clip, I'm sure, but we need to give them a different reality from what they're in. Right? A reality that isn't just bombs and death and destruction, a reality that reminds people of their humanity, who they are, and what it all means. Because otherwise, it's easy to become lost in despair and trauma and anger. And so what I think they're doing, both in Ukraine and I think over here, just as importantly, is really inspiring. Kolya was, very bright light for me.
Yeah, it was beautiful. They're on a 40-day tour in America right now to thank Americans for support of the war in Ukraine, and to it's kind of like old school, the way we used to do like USO stuff, where you go just kind of like, as Jim was saying, offer fuel for people's souls. He did talk a lot about the importance of stimulating the imagination. And also, he talked a lot about how vital it is that they never lose their humanity. We talk a lot about how there's this war on empathy, kindness, all that stuff. And one of the great lines from his TEDx Mid-Atlantic talk was how culture prevents rust on the soul. And I have actually an article coming out in a couple days in Byline on this unit. And it's amazing how these guys were like Kolya himself was like a huge celebrity, probably still is, in Ukraine. And he got a call from his grandma. The full-scale invasion had begun, and he shows up after a performance in his scarf and red boots and goes to enlist. And, he gets there, and the officer running things is like, we don't need showmen. We need soldiers. And gave him a rifle, and he's out there in the field with a bunch of other guys who'd never really fought before. But it turned out they absolutely needed both. They need people who can bring culture, and they need soldiers as well. So great story.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, sort of, I love that it's the cultural forces of Ukraine, but it's a lot more than that. You know, it is not a coincidence that he has a master's in psychology at all. and when he talks, you can tell. You know, he's speaking both with empathy, but also with actual understanding of how the psychology of trauma and, you know, people who've been victimized works. And I just have to say, you know, there was another 40-day tour around the country by the opposite of Kolya, a fascist, lying, theocratic bastard. And so just the fact that he's doing, you know, the same thing, that he's, you know, taking a similar kind of journey around the country to actually shine some light instead of bringing the darkness, you know, it gave me a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. I do want to talk about that because in paying attention to the clips that you've been posting from the various events and QAnon talk shows that Mike Flynn shows up on, it is very clear to me that that is a perfect example of what Ruth Ben-Ghiat calls the upside down. So you have somebody who is clearly some sort of traitor to his country, and that person is running around the country in the upside down, acting as a patriot. There's nothing patriotic about shilling for Vladimir Putin in this country at this moment in time. That's the opposite of patriotic. That is aiding and abetting the enemy. And it's on the one hand, it is fucking scary. On the other hand, it's also really pathetic. I'm sure you guys have seen the quote unquote strongmen photo ops of, you know, Putin in North Korea, but it's like fucking embarrassing.
Well, he's not very, he doesn't seem very strong, does he? He seems like he's subservient.
Oh.
Say, man, if you're running to Kim Jong-un for help, things are looking grim.
I pointed this out online, but I have to point it out here as well. Barack Obama, 3 days after Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to steal the election, Obama walked into the White House with Donald Trump and warned him about two specific people, one of whom Vladimir Putin was kowtowing to in North Korea, and the other one, Mike Flynn, was kowtowing to Putin in Moscow in 2015. We are fighting a fucking battle by a combination of theocrats and foreign dictators and oligarchs. I mean, I forgive me because I can't hold this in for too long. The 10 Commandments in Louisiana. Give me a fucking second here, because if I go to my grandkids' school, you know, I don't have any yet, but I will soon. So, you know, damn it. And I see the 10 Commandments, I will take that shit down. And if somebody calls the cops and gets mad, I will fucking wait there very politely, and I will show them the Constitution. We'll show them the first 10 words of the Bill of Rights. The first 10 words of the Bill of Rights are called the Establishment Clause. Congress shall make no law respecting a establishment of religion. It's very simple. And there's a reason why the first 10 words of the Bill of Rights are freedom from religion. Because the United States of America fought a fucking revolution in order to not be a theocratic autocracy. The Church of England controlled us, controlled these, what weren't states, what weren't anything, but colonies of a theocratic British Empire. And we fought a whole fucking revolution to get away from it. And so the governor of Louisiana, who just signed a fucking law that says you must, in Louisiana public schools, put up the 10 Commandments, which, sorry, 3,000-year-old, 2,000-year-old fucking myth that you're not shoving down my fucking grandkid's throat. You're not. And if I got to go to jail over that, if I got to do some civil disobedience over this, I fucking will. Because my mom, because of the First Amendment, because of the Establishment Clause, had the choice to break the cycle of religion in our family. I respect people who have religious beliefs. That is fine with me. But the whole fucking point of America was that your beliefs don't get forced in my brain or the brain of my kids. It's that simple here. And I think it's very what's happening inside of America by people going at the very, very core, right? It's not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. All of this shit is literally aimed at our very, very existence as Americans. I fucking reject it. And you know, it's the kind of thing that leads to conflict. Yeah. Because it's not a thing that a lot of us are going to be giving up.
No. So I keep saying it over and over again, like a mantra. People are being tricked to turn on their democracy, which has happened in countries before. And I don't know of any democracy that's lasted as long as ours. And instead of cherishing it, so instead of cherishing it and knowing that if we can hold on to our sacred democracy, and instead of fighting each other with all the bullshit that's being ginned up from Russia and fifth columnists in America, instead of coming together to cherish our sacred democracy, where when we retain it, we can get the upgrades we need. We can fix what's happened to our damaged Supreme Court. We can do all those things. Instead, people are being mind hacked and against each other, and it's weaponized. They're not inoculated against it. When you talk to people who are mind hacked, they have some arrogance, like they're so sure about their belief in things that are imaginary. And you know, I'm going to keep saying it between now and November and thereafter. We must treat what we have as sacred. We must treat the trust we have in each other as sacred, because people like Mike Flynn and people like Vladimir Putin have been trying to tear us apart at the seams, quite successfully, actually. And we better listen to our friends in Ukraine who talk about the psychological warfare attacks as if it's bullets. The psychological warfare, according to Kolya, is psychological bullets. They understand it. They have built a resistance to it, and they take it very, very seriously. And in Germany just created a department that is going to be fighting and addressing and defending German citizens against Russian information warfare. They said it. They said the R fucking word. America needs to do absolutely the same. Should have done it years ago. But at least we can look to Germany, which also has laws against hate speech, and see where we can course correct.
Well, and laws against fascism, right? Yeah. And America also has laws against fascism, called the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't use the word democracy, but the entire document is designed to fucking set up a democracy. So, you know, yeah, we are in a situation where a very large percent of the country doesn't want a country anymore. Doesn't want the same country anymore. It's a different world that we're in, and my big concern is that I am not seeing any acknowledgement from our institutions. I'm not seeing any recognition of the open, overt battle plans they are making for destroying this election. I'm seeing absolutely nothing. There's been no education. There's been no acknowledgement of what everybody feels, what everybody sees every single day when we lose yet another person to some fucking cult that just disappears out of our life into some telegram hole, right? We're just sitting around watching this happen, and nobody even acknowledges it. It's like this completely invisible gray war that is eating us alive, and I resent it. I resent the government for effectively hiding it from the American people, because the thing that Kolya said as well that I thought was very important was those bullets, you can't dodge them, right? You can't dodge a bullet. You're not like, whoa. He used the term bullet for a reason, because you have to absorb them. You have to have the body armor to survive the bullets. You can't avoid them, because that's the world right now. And so our fucking job or the government's job is to protect Americans, give them the knowledge to put some fucking armor on themselves, so when they go out into the world, they're not risking being captured into some horrific authoritarian group. Are you muted? Boomity boomer.
Try it again.
Fuck. It's being treated way too, the response has been way too lightweight, if at all. I just retweeted the letter that we wrote to President Biden that we would like him to use to address Americans about information warfare. But when our president says we have a Supreme Court that's out of step, it's like, no, what we have is a very methodical, weaponized plan to use many different, to create many different fronts to destroy our democracy. And Supreme Court extremists, activists are part of that. So
can I bring something up? Over the end of last week, the Supreme Cult, I don't call it the Supreme Court, Supreme Cult, legalized machine guns. Fucking after the Las Vegas shooting, we learned that the reason he was able to murder 60 people and hit 400 human beings in 11 minutes is because of this fucking gadget you stick on the back of your weapon that makes it so you don't have to pull the trigger. Turns into a fucking machine gun. Period. It's a fucking machine gun. If you listen to the tape of what it sounds like, you cannot tell me it's not a machine gun. So here's what really brings it home. Part of the reason the Supreme Court legalized bump stocks and legalized machine guns is because Mike Flynn's nonprofit filed 2 amicus briefs with the Supreme Court to assist them in their project of legalizing machine guns 5 months before the most fraught election since 1860. That is not a court. That is an enemy, rogue enemy crime ring inside of our nation. It is one branch of our government, the judicial branch, which is captured. And this is important. In the election, there will be challenges. There will be legal cases. There will be all these things. And guess where they're going to go? When they try and decertify states in order to lower the electoral count under 270, so they throw it to the House and give it to Trump. Who's going to rule on those bonkers fucking election fraud cases that they're going to file? The same bastards who just legalized machine guns. So what we need right now is some communication from the Democrats, from the president, from law enforcement, from somebody in the fucking DOJ who's not asleep.
Well,
to explain, I'm almost done. To explain to us what we're going to do about this, because where we're headed right now is a constitutional crisis.
Yeah. Where
Donald Trump is going to declare victory. You're going to have some part of the fucking Congress declaring victory. You're going to have air cover from the Supreme Court, and you're going to have the rest of us like, dude lost by 5 million votes or whatever it's going to be. He lost. And they're going to say, Donald Trump won. And then where the fuck are we going to be? And why have we been left in this situation? Why is it the same people that have been doing this for 8 years are still allowed to do it? Sorry.
So, no, these are so important. This is such important stuff.
Third try.
So we know from our friends in the federal government and from the letters we receive from former law enforcement that various segments of our enforcement agencies have been captured. So we know that, right? That's a problem. But also our allies in this fight, some in particular who just got back from the South, said they actually were taken to munitions bunkers. Like, people are arming the fuck up because their fifth column leaders in America are telling them to. So yeah, we need our enforcement agencies to get on television and tell people that they are aware of the radicalized faction in America and that they are not going to stand for it. And you know, Jim was among the people in advance of January 6th, warning people to stay home, seeing what was going on, predicting it note from note, because he's paying attention. So our enforcement agencies must have had the information. So how did January 6th actually happen?
They had the information. I know they had the information because I fucking handed it to them, and so did lots of my friends. And not only did they not prevent it, but they actively impeded investigation into it for 2 years.
And you had people like Mike Flynn's brother, Charles Flynn, who, according to his colleagues in the military in public hearings, didn't act due to, quote, optics or whatever. And so, yeah, I do need some reassurance. I do need acknowledgement. And we've been screaming for 3 years now. Where are the high-level arrests from those who have declared war on us and democracy? And you got Roger Stone, on new audio tape, talking about plans for the next time that they try to install Trump.
Yeah,
he's having judges' phone numbers.
Yeah,
in the Mar-a-Lago case.
Lauren Windsor, National Treasure, asked Roger Stone. She said, maybe it was Allie, said that I'm going to, I went to January 6th and I'm ready to do it again. And Roger Stone said, it may not be necessary this time. In other words, they think that they're going to be able to steal the election through other fuckery. But, you know, it's necessary. Hey, it's a nice country. But, you know, something has to happen to it. Hey, what are you going to do? It's just the fucking mafia, man. And you know, I heard for a long time, Merrick Garland took down the mafia. Okay. There it is. It's right in front of you. It's a transnational mafia.
Do it again. You know?
Yeah. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen. I kind of ranted today, you know, at some point, the fucking president is going to have to recognize that extraordinary times require extraordinary measures, and start taking some fucking action to sabotage the sabotage of our election.
Yeah.
Right. We like. Yeah. I don't know. It is a knowable thing, just like J6 was knowable. All you got to do is be watching the right people. If you know who's doing it, you just watch them, and then they tell you, and they're fucking telling us.
I know
exactly what they're gonna do, and so you know, one way or the other, something is gonna have to give, and what I'm hoping gives is norms. We don't need any fucking norms right now. What we need are laws. That's it. We need to enforce laws. And if Joe Biden has to get in Merrick Garland's fucking face to do it, get in Chris Wray's face to do it, he should. We have a separation of powers for a reason. If we have a fucking rogue branch of government going off the rails, if we have a bunch of ex-military running around literally trying to plan the violent overthrow of the country, the president of the United States can demand that get addressed. It's not. I get that the DOJ and FBI are supposed to be independent. Those are policies. Those are policies that the Republicans have never once ever gone by and will never go by. So all we're doing is playing by rules that they're not playing by.
I give you Exhibit A, William Barr. I give you Exhibit A, William Barr, over and over and over again. He illustrates exactly what Jim is saying.
The guy who let Mike Flynn free? Yeah, that guy?
Well, he's always at the ready when something needs to be. He's a fixer. And
he's a cover-up artist and has been since Iran-Contra.
Yeah. So, High Fidelity, do you want to jump in before we show our first clip?
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot of people, I want them to understand the reason we focus on Ukraine so much is because Ukraine is where the kinetic part of World War III is occurring, right?
Yeah.
And if you do not want that to come to your doorstep, we all need to be doing everything we can to get everyone we know to vote. And also, you know, call the FBI, call your state representatives, ask what the hell is going on. I was talking to a guy from Gambia the other day, Amadou, and Amadou and I were discussing the fact that we had an attempted coup in the United States in 2020. And he's from Gambia, West Africa. He knows coups. He's seen them. That was a coup, he says. I agree. Why is it that a man who has an experience of a coup sees that coup occur in our country, is more perceptive than a vast swath of our billionaire-owned corporate media? Why is our social media not allowing stories like this to get spread more widely? So if you don't want Ukraine to end up in your backyard, if you don't want bombs to start falling around you and gunshots to be going off, do something.
So let's talk about that.
Калашникова, РПГ, ТМ, ПМ. Кажуть, що коли гармата звучить, то муза мовчить. Насправді муза мовчить тому, що їй нікуди це сказати. Це фронтова студія культурного десанту. Mykolai Серга, Саша Чемеров. І наша студія. Цей бус створений саме для того, щоб записувати муз, для того, щоб зафіксувати момент, законсервувати цінності, переконання, вірування військового світу і передати їх в цивільне суспільство чи передати нашим нащадкам. Фіксувати, записувати твори безпосередньо в зоні бойових дій від тих, хто їх народжує прямо там.
Співай, доки ще є надія. Спів підноситься понад травою.
Капелан на моїй кулі.
Це буде жиряка.
Ну що, поїхали.
That was the cultural forces of Ukraine. There's 80 soldiers, all with varying talents. The opera singer you saw, very famous opera singer from East Ukraine. He got his leg blown off early on. You'll notice many of the soldiers in that unit are in their 50s and 60s, which I'm super moved by, because that's how much they want to defend their country. They don't. They only perform for small groups because they obviously can't draw attention to what's going on. But you see them performing in bombed out areas, and I think Kolya, the guy who founded it, the musician and poet and host, when they defeat Russia, I see a big role for him. He's just such a natural born leader, the person we interviewed.
Yeah, Kolya, yeah, I got a man crush on Kolya, man. That dude's awesome. He's just smart and empathetic, and I've been a musician, or attempted to be for most of my life, and I know in my own small way, I know that going to play music, going to show or band practice or whatever was always a way of leaving whatever I had somewhere else for a while and giving my kind of consciousness, more sort of technically my executive functioning to be separate from a whole bunch of trauma and chaos and anxiety. And it's for soldiers who are out there getting bombed and watching their friends get blown up, that is multiplied by magnitudes. So what they're doing is I think brave and brilliant, and something to inspire everybody.
Yeah. I just want to touch on what we were talking about before for a moment, and I mentioned this in your space last night, Jim. Because in Ukraine they understand psychological warfare is like bullets that their bodies are absorbing, and they have built a resistance to it because they've been, a target nation of Russia longer than we have in the modern period that we're talking about. And we've been a target nation of Russian active measures that are deploying the modern technologies for a decade now. So we should fucking know something, right? But here we go again. Another election cycle. Faked up videos of Joe Biden. Sorry about the beeping. There's shit happening on my street. Faked up videos of Joe Biden, doctored videos of Joe Biden, just like there were of Hillary Clinton in 2016, when suddenly all these people who had never given a shit become anti-Hillary and say she's stroking out, which was that was an active measure. Fifth columnist in America, Russian state television. That was an operation to make Hillary, according to the Roger Stone indictment, make her look old, like she's suffering a stroke. So we're seeing it happen again. And the thing is, we know by looking at what happened in Georgia, the country of Georgia in 2012, that these types of videos are really effective. The country of Georgia was hit before their election with a bunch of faked up prison videos, prison abuse videos coming out. And, it turned out people were paid and it was a big mess. But the point is that impacted an election, like the doctored video of Hillary impacted an election. And here we are again. And just because media will say that's a lie does not mean that lie does not enter the mainstream narrative and the mainstream debate. So we have to come to our own rescue, and we have to acknowledge that these are not just little pranks, that these actually have an impact, and we have to help each other and have conversations with everybody and have our networks connected on these subjects so we can self-inoculate, since no one's coming to rescue us from the same cheap tricks that have been used over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, the entire right wing is convinced that Joe Biden literally craps himself, which is literally, no
projection.
Well, yes, and so I happened to literally just turned on the Trump speech and just hit record for shits and giggles, and dude went off about how he was going to build a great iron dome in the United States of America. And he said that it's going to be great. In 5 years, you're going to be able to look up and see the missiles and not worry about it because the dome is going to take care of it. Okay. Now, there's a few possibilities. Let's review briefly for fun. He thinks it's actually an iron dome, in which case the farmers are going to be mad, or we're going to need lights, or I don't know how you do it if it's actually an iron dome. He thinks that it is capable of intercepting nuclear missiles. Nuclear missiles travel at 14,000 miles an hour. They are not. That is not what HIMARS and the Israeli missile defense system is. Or he thinks that Canada and Mexico are going to start lobbing artillery in, which, maybe, who knows? Or he's just a fucking demented, broken, Adderall-ridden rapist who has no fucking business anywhere in the vicinity of adults, much less, running a fucking country. And so I'm almost done. I think it's important to put in perspective any of these videos and to push back and say, dude, he's literally looking at those people over there, right? Which I've done several times. Just go right at him. Incorrect. Here's what he's doing, right? Fucking push back on this stuff and point out exactly how broken, demented, and absolutely existentially done we would be if Donald Trump became president of the United States again.
I would just like to offer the theory that perhaps he saw this.
Stephen, I was waiting for Stephen King to weigh in because the tweet went kind of crazy. Everybody was tagging Stephen, like, Stephen, looks like Trump read your books, man. And no,
he didn't.
Trump doesn't read.
He doesn't read.
Well,
He
for
he read Mein Kampf a few years back.
No, he's just hearing about Israel's Iron Dome, and it sounds great. And he's like, "That was our idea. Did you know that?" Yeah. And he had the audacity to bring up Star Wars from the Reagan era, which is one of the greatest boondoggles of all fucking time. That was sort of Star Wars and the nuclear terror thing in the Reagan era is an entire thing unto itself. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to the same fucking lies. It's all about terrorizing people, and we need to stop letting them do that.
Yes, High Fidelity. Yeah, so let's keep hearing from our guest.
It's amazing concerts. People stand up few or more times for the concert. Like, an example, yesterday, in the evening concert, the people in the hall stand up 12 times. Yeah, and it's impressing them. They're saying that we understand what you're doing for the soldiers, but what you're doing for us, it's amazing. You help us to remember that we are human. So it's the function of us here, because we have a lot of different convinces, yeah, about political currents, about inside problems. But when you go deeper and deeper, where everybody is connected, right, to the high level values, and working there is connecting us, connecting Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian civil people with us, American people, Ukrainian people here in America, Ukrainian people with American citizens, American citizens who doesn't have roots from Ukraine, and everybody is connected on that level of humanity. And after that, everybody understands that right now it's a very big war. The war of all the world is the war for humanity. Because if Russia will win, we will lose the main reason for humanity existing. Yeah. We will lose our soul. So right now it's fight for the soul.
Yes, I agree.
And that's why what we are doing, we helping in this fight to not forget what the soldiers in Ukraine fighting. Don't forget about their soul, because even if we will win the war on the front line, but we lose our humanity, the evil will win. So we need to remember for what we're fighting.
I love how Kolya is learning English on the road. We actually interviewed him at a gas station while he was going from Chicago to Indianapolis, and what he said was so incredibly profound.
Yeah, he's a poet, very smart, and understands. He's just very insightful about people.
Yeah,
and, we need that, and one thing I want to point out is somebody like Kolya and the military that these fucking fascists want to create in America would never happen. That woke shit. What do you mean you've got musicians running around, Mike Flynn and the fucking fascists who want to take this thing over and turn our military into some kind of fucking Fourth Reich. You know, things like that would be, you know, ridiculed and cast out instantaneously at best. And I think it's really important to recognize that, right? I mean, these people, oh my God, kid, you got the DEI and the military is ruining everything. The CRT in the military, the trans people in the military, all the things are ruining the military. Those are all the things that make America great and make our military great for the same reason. You can't have people who hate each other in in the foxhole. They have to learn to care about each other, whoever they are. And we're just getting sent down, railroaded down a really bad place.
Collier read a poem at TEDx, and the first two lines were, "As soon as we get the victory, the smoke will clear over our history." And the last four lines are, "When we manage to beat the enemy, and now we will teach everybody to love. We will multiply love in the world. So it's the purpose of our victory." That's what we've been saying on this show forever. They're trying to steal all the good. And what do we always find out about these people trying to steal all the good? The traitors who call themselves patriots. A lot of them are really involved in some very gnarly shit. And we learn that every day, all the time. And that is my shout out to our girl, Mindy, who was just interviewed today, based on somebody she knows who is one of those devious people that is selling religion while actually being involved in super evil shit. So,
indeed.
Hold on, we got to talk about two things real fast.
Are we going to bring up? I know what you're about to bring up because I was about to bring that up. But you go ahead.
Well, okay. So number one is Robert Morris, right?
Okay.
Trump's personal preacher just had to resign for apparently taking advantage of a 12-year-old girl. So that's pretty damn dark. And number two is Vigaaaaaano.
oh, yeah.
The creepiest. If you
Creepy.
Show, can you find a picture?
Oh yeah, I'll get you a picture real fast. Hold on.
Or just type on my timeline "creepy motherfucker" and you'll find it. Literally, that's how you find Vigaaaaaano on my timeline. So here's the thing. Vigaaaaaano is now literally is one of the main speakers at Russophile conferences with Alexander Dugin and the Kremlin in Moscow and shit, like as far Kremlin-y as it goes. That's not the creepiest one. Find me a creepy one. There's
all right.
That just triggered me.
You have to search hard for one that makes him look that normal. Anyway, Vigaaaaaano, so he's fully Kremlined out. Also, Mike Flynn's personal priest, according to Mike Flynn. That's important. According to Mike Flynn, this Kremlin motherfucker is his personal priest. Also, and this is important, he's got multiple Q drops. That's weird. Something that happened on October 30th that I noticed in real time was that Q posted from this weird fucking archbishop I'd never heard of at the time. And then Mike Flynn did the same thing like an hour later. I was like, what the fuck? And it turns out that's his personal priest. So he's got Q drops. He pushes Pizzagate by name. Like he's like, the Podesta emails and Hillary, like the whole fucking bit. Biolabs, all of it. Now, this guy was the apostolic nuncio to the United States, which in many ways is the top Catholic in the United States until, and this is also important, he started attacking the Pope. The Pope didn't like that, got mad at him. And so for 8 years now, Vigaaaaaano has been out there in Looneyville with Mike Flynn at his calling in from his Reawaken conferences and all of this crazy shit. And the Pope finally decided to put this despicable, horrific, godless motherfucker on trial and to be excommunicated from the Catholic Church, which is something that I've been asking the Pope. Literally, you can look at my timeline. I've been asking him, when are you going to excommunicate this creepy motherfucker? And I'm sure it was because of me that the Pope answered my prayers. All this shit. It's good news. And also, the final thing that's really good about it is triggering the shit out of Michael T. Flynn.
Well, they can all just go to Moscow together and live dreadfully ever after. Because I don't, that would be fine. Get the fuck out of the respective countries. I've seen what he said, and it's like such pro-Kremlin propaganda. Like, it's like chilling.
It's not even, there's no sugarcoating. It's like, Putin is correct about the fact that Ukraine is an evil Nazi empire. Like, it's like that. Like, there's no,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he says that like on video at Mike Flynn's tours after Mike Flynn says that's my personal priest.
Yeah. Wow. God. Yeah. So that's good. That's good news. That's very good news.
Yeah, I mean, it is good news, and I'm glad that this giant organization with 2 billion fucking people in it is starting a little bit to get on the right side, but it's also the Pope has also done some really egregious shit recently.
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag.
Like tell Ukraine to give up where you are right now. Wave the white flag. Like, fuck off, Pope. What do you tell? You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that.
No.
Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, let's hear 2 more clips from Kolya, the one Cleveland Rocks, and then the one where he responded to Jim.
And there, when you're given the present culture, is writing on one in one space, in one level, in one stage. When you're given like in present, in past, in more past, and then in future, it's giving you I don't remember this word in English as well. So a lot of levels, and people will go from the concert going back home, not with the feeling of 2D. It will be 3D or 4D or 5D. It helps to go deeper in their unconsciousness.
Thank you for that. Hi-Fi, do you want to jump in?
I have a couple quick questions for you. The first one, have you been to Cleveland yet?
Yeah,
Cleveland,
of course.
Ohio. Did they treat you well? Good.
Yeah. We burn it.
Nice.
People didn't want to let us go. They said, no, you are not paying. You are Cleveland people.
Nice. Good.
Cleveland is my hometown, so
yeah.
I
want to make sure
place.
they treated you well.
Cleveland in my heart. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing people there. And we in Cleveland, not just about the concerts, because we have like an example, one of the concerts where was just American people, and the youngest people on this concert was about 60 years.
Wow.
And it was about 500 people.
I cut the clip short accidentally.
It doesn't matter.
I was like, oh, you get the good part, man.
Yeah, they gave him standing ovations, multiple standing ovations. The reason that's important, Cleveland is a city that was built on immigration. Like, I grew up on the east side of Euclid, where my German and Slovenian adopted grandparents raised me.
Yeah.
There was Germantown, there was the Polish part of town, there was the Czech part of town.
Yeah.
I mean, and
So what?
Yeah.
One of the important parts of that story is he talks about how they met with a senator's aide, and how the senator's aide was talking all these Russian narratives, and the guy sat down at that senator's aide and told them the straight, information from Ukraine, and the senator's aide did a complete 180. So see how that goes, because
I mean, like I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the table from Kolya.
yeah, or Yuri, the opera singer too. Like these guys are, even
Well,
the
I mean,
puppeteer.
Kolya's sharp as shit, man. He
Yeah.
I bet you, on the other side of the table, you would want, be there.
Yeah. No.
And Yuri is fucking man. That dude, like, I'm not a small guy, and that dude's like a bear to me.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
I gave him a big hug, and yeah, he's a big dude.
It's weird seeing men again with legs blown off. Like, it seemed to me like we've just not evolved as a species. Like, I had an uncle who was drafted at 17, and he got his leg blown off right at the end of World War II. And it's like, fuck. Like, it's just, I don't know what's wrong with people.
Well, I mean, war is something that humans do. Unfortunately, the problem is that we haven't had a big one since we invented a way to murder the entire species, right? And so that's. Unfortunately, that's what the cloud that hangs over all of this stuff is.
Yeah.
If one of these motherfuckers that controls nukes wants to create an apocalypse, they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can make everybody's dreams come true for about 10 seconds until the world fucking disappears.
Let's see his response to Jim's trauma question, if you have it.
I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts on, do you think of it as sort of narrative psychological warfare in a sense? Because honestly, I do. I was just curious.
Ukrainian has a big level of resistance, and we're doing that not systematically. We're doing that more because we know these attacks, psychological attacks on Ukrainian, Russian psychological attacks, help us to understand what is important for us. We don't have armor from that. They're doing that professionally, and it's like all the bullets, psychological bullets from Russian psychological guns, like going straight into our body. It's not about how we do like that, or every bullet comes there, and we. But the power of life inside the collective unconsciousness Ukrainian is so strong, so it can live with these bullets. And when we understand that we're trying to take it off, with that we understand how to heal. So that's why we become healer, at first healer to ourselves, and then I'm sure for all the world, because we will share this. It's not about the aggression. It's not how to resist Russian psychological attacks. No, it's about how to make your own resistance, which will work with every type of attacks, from the enemy, from yourself. No matter, you just become much bigger.
So great.
I got nothing. That's
so beautiful. So
Yeah.
one thing I was thinking about is that because I interviewed some people that I believe are mind hacked, and when I was in DC, and Jim, you were talking about it. It's like nobody needs deprogramming. They need the poison to be removed from them. They need to not be ingesting digital poison, Russian propaganda, fifth column messaging, which aligns with Putin's messaging. Get them away from that and see how soon their own, they return back to their pre-radicalized selves. I mean,
thought experiment. Take somebody a MAGA of some kind, somebody who's going off the deep end, and imagine you put them in a luxury solo vacation on an island for a couple months, where they're by themselves. It's beautiful, everything they want, and they get a healthy diet of fucking information about the world. Most people are gonna like when they stop being re-indoctrinated, re-exposed to the poison, they'll just stop being brainwashed. And people have all kinds of after effects, and I'm not trying to minimize it in any way, but like Jensenko taught us, the best way to help somebody who's brainwashed is to stop brainwashing them. It's not complicated. And that's what we need our authorities to do for us. They need to help all these people who are trapped in these vicious, false, genocidal alternate realities. Otherwise, those realities are going to become all of our reality in ways that we don't want.
I wonder if the Surgeon General would declare that the internet could be hazardous to your mental health.
Well, it's close. He's trying to do it for social media. Did you see that?
I did see that. That's why I brought it up.
Hi-Fi.
He literally wants to put warning labels on the social medias, which, okay.
It's a start. Hi-Fi had said yesterday that people who don't believe science are a danger to all of us and need to be taking science courses, and
taking science courses isn't going to help them, right? What they need to just get out of the place that's telling them science is fucking is a lie. I mean, because that's literally what they're doing. Right. It is, and you hear them now. All of them are like, the first thing we're going to do on day one is get rid of the Department of Education. We're going to send them all home. Who needs them? Because an educated population is a dangerous population to authoritarians.
Absolutely.
You don't. They want us fucking stupid, poor, depressed, and beaten.
And if we don't defend our democracy, then they're going to get it. What I responded to Hi-Fi was that, or we could do what Germany's doing and form a department to defend us against Russian disinformation, active measures, and that too. I mean, interfering with science is, something that Russia's been doing to our country for a long time. So,
it goes all the way back to Project Infection, right? I mean,
oh God, yeah, yeah. Right. Hey, so do you want to just give Kolya the last word, or is there anything else that we failed to discuss?
I'll play one more Kolya, but then I want to have the ending of that episode be the ending of this, because I just like it.
Yeah.
So cool. Here's Kolya one more time.
To make your own resistance, which will work with every type of attacks. From the enemy, from yourself, no matter. You just become much bigger.
Can you just tell Americans anything you want us to know about how important it is to support Ukraine?
I think the main thing that when you're supporting Ukraine, you're supporting the kind in the world. You're supporting your soul. So how you, with all the understanding of what going on in Ukraine, how you treat Ukraine right now, how you treat the kind in Ukraine is the way how you treat your soul. So it's about your souls.
Personally, I'm all for arming my soul as heavily as possible. So
It's about how you treat the kind in the world, how you treat your soul. I mean, he's a poet, you know? Yeah, so, all right, that's our show. What else you got, Hi-Fi?
Well, here's the final word.
В школах, в палацах, позашкільна освіта, інститути. І діти, коли дізналися, що я потрапив на фронт, вони почали передавати через мене вітання героям. Готові? Добре. Тоді уважно. Вітання від дітей. Це буде від одного року, щоб ви розуміли, так? Ви маєте зробити те саме. Наш рівень якраз такий самий.
Моє ім'я Валерій Дзех. Я військовослужбовець 59-ї бригади. А також є учасником культурного десанту, і я там лялькар. Я хочу, щоб військові в якийсь момент просто опинилися в своєму дитинстві. Щоб вони згадали, що таке дитинство, що таке мріяти і що таке створювати, будувати.
Крок за кроком йти вперед до своєї мети.
Bella cosa, una giornata e sole, un'aria serena, dopo una tempesta, per l'aria fresca, pareggia la festa. Che bella cosa, una giornata e sole. Guarda il sole, io me la iene, oh sole mio, sei in fronte a te. Oh sole mio, stai in fronte a te, stai in fronte a te.